You're intelligent, hardworking, and committed to growth. Yet somehow, you're still stuck in the same patterns, making the same mistakes, chasing the same goals you set 3 years ago. What if your intelligence is actually the reason you can't move forward? In this video, I'll reveal 6 psychological traps backed by research that prove why smart people stay stuck, and more importantly, how to break free starting today. I discovered this after spending years helping high achievers who had everything figured out on paper, but couldn't execute. Research from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows that higher IQ individuals are actually more susceptible to specific cognitive biases. The problem is, most smart people confuse understanding with action. They analyze, optimize, and strategize themselves into paralysis. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly which mental trap is holding you back, and you'll have a concrete escape plan. Let's dive in. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The smarter you are, the more options you can see. Analysis paralysis happens when your brain's pattern recognition abilities work too well. You can see every potential outcome, every risk, every alternative path. While average decision makers see 3 options, you see 30. Research from Columbia University found that when people face more than 7 choices, decision quality actually drops by 60%. This works because your prefrontal cortex, the smart analytical part, literally exhausts itself evaluating variables. Meanwhile, your limbic system screams danger at every uncertainty. Dr. Barry Schwartz calls this the paradox of choice. Smart people don't fail from lack of options, they drown in them. Here's how to break free. First, set a decision deadline. Give yourself 48 hours maximum for any non-critical choice. Second, use the October 10, 2010 rule. Ask yourself, will this matter in 10 minutes, 10 months, 10 years? Most decisions are 10-minute problems you're treating like 10-year problems. Third, embrace the 80% rule. If you have 80% of the information you need, decide. The last 20% costs exponentially more time and energy. Fourth, remember this mantra. A good decision made today beats a perfect decision made never. For instance, instead of spending 3 weeks researching the perfect productivity system, pick one highly rated method and commit to it for 30 days. You'll learn more from imperfect action than perfect planning. But that's not all. This next trap is even more insidious. Most people don't know this, but smart people have a dangerous addiction to complexity. The sophistication syndrome is when you believe solutions must be proportionally complex to your intelligence. Simple advice feels insulting. Just start seems too basic. You need frameworks, systems, 12-step processes. A study from Stanford found that intelligent individuals rate complex explanations as 34% more credible than simple ones, even when both explain the same thing. This works because your brain equates cognitive effort with value. You've been rewarded your entire life for sophisticated thinking. In school, simple answers got you average grades, complex analysis got you A's. Your identity became wrapped up in being the smart one who sees what others miss. But here's the truth. Psychology reveals complexity is often the enemy of execution. How to escape this trap? First, apply the explain to a 12-year-old test. If you can't describe your plan in 3 simple sentences, it's too complicated. Second, use Occam's razor. The principle that the simplest explanation is usually correct. When you have 2 solutions, choose the one with fewer steps. Third, track implementation resistance. If you've been planning something for more than 2 weeks without starting, your approach is too sophisticated. Simplify until starting feels almost embarrassingly easy. Fourth, remember, Amazon's core strategy was low prices, fast shipping. Apple's design philosophy is simplicity. The most successful systems are elegant, not elaborate. Instead of creating a comprehensive life optimization system with 47 tracked metrics, start with one habit: wake up at the same time daily. That's it. Build from there. Now, let's talk about something even more powerful. This next one is crucial. Smart people protect their identity more than they pursue growth. Identity protection is when you avoid situations where you might look stupid, ask basic questions, or reveal knowledge gaps. You've built your self-worth on being competent, so anything that threatens that identity triggers massive psychological resistance. Research from Carol Dweck's mindset studies shows that students praised for intelligence, not effort, are 40% more likely to avoid challenging tasks that might expose their limitations. This works because your brain treats identity threats like physical threats. When you imagine looking foolish, your amygdala activates the same way it would if you faced actual danger. You've created what psychologists call a fixed mindset around intelligence. Every challenge becomes a test of your inherent worth rather than an opportunity to develop. So you stay in domains where you're already good, avoid new skills where you'd start as a beginner, and slowly, quietly stop growing. Here's your escape plan. First, actively seek beginner experiences monthly. Take a class in something you know nothing about: pottery, coding, salsa dancing. Let yourself be terrible. Second, reframe failure as data collection. When something doesn't work, say, interesting data point instead of I failed. Third, practice strategic humility. Publicly admit knowledge gaps. Say, I don't know, or can you explain that? At least once per conversation. You'll notice people respect vulnerability more than false expertise. Fourth, separate who you are from what you know. You're not a smart person. You're a person who learns. For example, I started publishing YouTube videos with zero experience. My first 10 were objectively bad. But I learned more from making 10 imperfect videos than I would have from watching 100 tutorials. Protect growth, not image. But wait, there's more to this. Now, you might be thinking, I understand all these concepts, so why am I still stuck? Welcome to the understanding illusion, the false belief that comprehending something is the same as integrating it. Smart people are masters at this. You read the book, listen to the podcast, watch the video, nod along thinking, yes, I know this, but nothing changes. A Yale study found that people consistently overestimate how well they understand concepts by an average of 32% until they are forced to explain or apply them. This happens because your brain gets a dopamine hit from learning. It feels like progress. Comprehension creates the illusion of capability. You understand the benefits of meditation, so your brain files it under solved, even though you've never meditated consistently. This is why smart people have shelves full of self-help books but the same problems. They're collecting insights like trophies, not implementing them like tools. Psychologist Dr. Albert Bandura calls this the knowledge-action gap. Close the gap with these steps. First, apply the 24-hour implementation rule. Whenever you learn something valuable, you must take one concrete action within 24 hours. Learned about morning routines. Set your alarm differently tomorrow. No exceptions. Second, use teach-back learning. Explain what you learned to someone else within 48 hours. This forces true integration. Third, create implementation intentions. Don't just say, I should exercise. Say, Monday at 7 a.m., I will do 10 push-ups in my bedroom. Research shows this increases follow-through by 91%. Fourth, track behaviors, not knowledge. Don't ask, what did I learn this week? Ask, what did I do differently this week? Instead of reading another productivity book, take one technique from a book you've already read and apply it exclusively for 30 days. Mastery beats variety. This brings me to the next secret. Here's where it gets fascinating. Smart people are terrible at predicting their future selves. Future self-sabotage is when you make commitments, assuming your future self will have more time, energy, and motivation than your present self. Tomorrow, I'll wake up at 5 a.m., meditate, journal, exercise, and work on my side project. Your smart brain creates perfect plans for a perfect version of you that doesn't exist. Harvard psychologist Dan Gilbert's research shows we systematically underestimate how much we'll change and overestimate our future willpower. This works because of planning fallacy. Your brain in planning mode focuses on the ideal scenario while ignoring obstacles, fatigue, and real-world friction. You're essentially setting up your future self to fail, then judging yourself harshly when you inevitably fall short. This creates a vicious cycle. Overcommit, fail, feel inadequate, overcompensate with even more ambitious plans, fail again. Smart people do this because they genuinely believe they should be capable of more. Break the cycle. First, use present self-planning. Only commit to things your current self could do today if required. If you wouldn't wake up at 5 a.m. this morning, don't plan to do it Monday. Second, apply half-capacity planning. Whatever you think you can accomplish, cut it in half. You'll actually achieve more by setting realistic targets. Third, build in failure buffers. Assume things will take 50% longer than estimated and you'll have 30% less energy than expected. Fourth, use identity-based habit planning. Don't say I will run 5 miles. Say I am someone who moves daily. Start with a 5-minute walk. For instance, instead of I'll completely transform my life. Starting Monday, try this week. I'll go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Build momentum through achievable wins, not fantasy transformations. Now, let's talk about the deepest trap. This final trap is the most powerful and the hardest to see. The narrative prison is the story you tell about why you're stuck, and that story becomes your reality. I'm just not a morning person. I've always been disorganized. I'm smart but lazy. These narratives feel like objective descriptions, but they're actually prescriptions. Once you've labeled yourself, your brain works overtime to prove that label correct. It's called confirmation bias, and smart people are particularly vulnerable because they can construct sophisticated justifications for their limitations. This operates through what psychologists call learned helplessness. When you've told yourself the same story long enough, your brain stops looking for contradictory evidence. You notice every time you sleep in, confirming not a morning person, but dismiss the 3 times you woke up early. Those don't count. It was different. Dr. Martin Seligman's research shows that the stories we tell about our failures literally reshape our neurology. Your narrative isn't just describing your stuck state, it's creating it. Here's how to rewrite your story. First, practice narrative interruption. Every time you say I'm just, or I've always, stop mid-sentence and add, until now. I'm not a morning person, until now. This creates psychological space for change. Second, collect counter-evidence. Actively look for times you did behave differently than your story suggests. Keep a narrative. Break your journal. Third, use third-person self-talk. Instead of, I can't do this, say your name can figure this out. Research shows this simple shift increases persistence by 25%. Fourth, replace limiting identities with growth-oriented ones. Not, I'm disorganized, but I'm developing organizational systems. Instead of, I've tried everything and nothing works for me. Try, I haven't found the right approach yet, but each attempt teaches me what I need. That single word, yet, transforms your entire psychology. The truth is, you're not stuck because you lack intelligence. You're stuck because your intelligence has been aimed at defending your limitations instead of dismantling them. Let's quickly review what we covered today. Number 1, analysis paralysis. Your intelligence creates too many options, causing decision paralysis. Solution, 48-hour decision deadlines, and the 80% rule. Number 2, sophistication syndrome. You overcomplicate solutions because complexity feels credible. Solution: explain it to a 12-year-old or simplify. Number 3, identity protection. You avoid growth to protect your smart person image. Solution: seek beginner experiences and separate learning from identity. Number 4, understanding illusion. You confuse knowing with doing. Solution: 24-hour implementation rule and track behaviors, not knowledge. Number 5, future self-sabotage. You make unrealistic plans for an ideal future you. Solution: present self-planning and half-capacity targets. Number 6, narrative prison. Your story about being stuck keeps you stuck. Solution: add until now to limiting beliefs and collect counter-evidence. Remember, being stuck isn't a character or flaw. It's a misapplication of your strengths, your analytical mind, your high standards, your self-awareness. These are assets when aimed correctly. You have everything you need to break free. The only difference between staying stuck and creating momentum is choosing one trap to address today and taking one imperfect action before your brain talks you out of it. Don't wait until you've figured everything out or until the timing is perfect. That's just trap number 1 talking. Start with the smallest possible step that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Pick the trap that resonated most, maybe it's the understanding illusion, and implement just one counter strategy this week. I promise you, 30 days from now, when you look back, you'll realize the only difference between who you were and who you're becoming was the decision to start before you felt ready. If you found this helpful, hit that like button. It tells YouTube to share this with other smart people who are tired of being stuck. Subscribe for more psychology-backed, self-improvement content that cuts through the fluff. And here's my question for you. Which trap hit closest to home? Drop a comment with the trap number that describes you best. I read every single one. If you want to learn exactly how to build momentum using Atomic Habits principles specifically designed for overthinkers, check out the video I'm linking on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Remember, you're not stuck forever. You're just stuck right now. And now is about to change.